Hey, everybody, welcome to the Not Move podcast. I will be your host, Better Betters. All right, so I believe this is the last day before the All-Star break, right? It is July 13th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Yes, we got today's the last day of regular season baseball until what? Friday, July 18th. I'll be covering, some different stuff today. I won't be going over like a whole lot of run line trends like we've done on previous shows, um, win streaks, and like runs per game on the road, runs per game allowed at home. Won't be doing a whole lot of that today. I don't think a whole lot has changed either since the show on July 11th in regards to a lot of that information. So, um, today's show will be a little bit different. We'll talk about some things that I haven't covered on previous shows. Once again, this is our fourth show with professional baseball here on this podcast. So I'm always looking at ways to improve the show and maybe get you guys thinking about some stuff that you haven't thought about before that you might be interested in. If you guys do have any comments, the best way for me to see those comments is by joining the Kick feed or the YouTube. From my understanding, I can see comments if you guys comment on YouTube or Kick. All right. So, first thing I like to cover is weather. And a lot of these starting lineups aren't, they're just starting to come out now. So, anyways, yeah, let's start with the weather here. Miami at Baltimore. Some spotty showers. I'm looking at rotogrinders.com. I think they do a pretty good job at weather updates. Miami at Baltimore. Some spotty showers and storms pop up in the general area today. A delay is possible. So just keep an eye out on that. Seattle at Detroit. A stray downpour or two could pop, they're saying. Um, Low chance that it ends up over the ballpark. And then Atlanta and St. Louis, this looks like the most questionable game in regards to you know playability, if that's a word. But looks like it's going to be pretty stormy, is what I'm reading here. They say that it looks like they'll probably play, but there's no guarantee. Um, a decent chance of a delay here and a postponed is possible, although they don't expect one. So looks they're expecting all the games to play today, but there could be once again some delays or postpones. All right. I don't know if you guys are interested in like birthdays and stuff. I know, in our basketball shows last season, we talked about like milestones that players could achieve that specific day. I'm not going to go into milestones today with baseball, but it looks like it's Cody Bellinger's birthday for the Cubs. Ty France for Minnesota. Ty France. But it doesn't look like France is in the starting or is projected to be in the starting lineup. Bellinger. Yeah, he's batting in the two hole for the Yankees today. Let's see what else. DJ LeMahieu, but he's not. He's not playing with them. Okay. Okay. So once again, these starting lineups are just coming out right now. I might be a little more slow in how I talk today, just because I'm looking at the starting lineups and I have to adjust some things here on my notes. So what I was thinking about doing is kind of briefly going over each of these games real quick and then diving a little bit deeper into them. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about how the starting pitchers for each team, what they're good at, what they're bad at, and I'm even going to break down their pitch type. What pitch type do they throw a high percentage of, and which players match up good against the hand that starting pitcher is pitching and the pitch type that pitcher likes to throw. I think that's really important. We haven't covered that at all, not only on these shows here on not the Not Move podcast, but last season as well. All right, so Miami, Baltimore. I don't see any starting lineups yet. Yankees and Cubs. I'm seeing some lineups here. One moment, please. Bush, PCA, Tucker, Kelly, Horner, Suzuki, and Swanson. Oh yeah, Swanson. Okay. So just before we get started here, just kind of wanted to recap the first three shows that we've had on this podcast. I think the first one was solid. The second one was great. The one on Friday could have been better. So you know, throughout this All-Star break, I'll have time to kind of see what we did good, see what we did bad, see how we can improve the show. All right, so Yankees and Cubs. Neither of these pitchers has pitched against the opposing teams this season. We got um, Will Warren and Imanaga pitching against each other today. Imanaga has a fairly high home run rate, not terrible, but it's 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. He's worse against right-handed hitters, and his average pitch count is 85. So Chicago does have a above average bullpen, anyways, and typically he goes kind of deeper into these games. Now, with Warren, he has a high walk rate, and the Cubs rank sixth in team walks drawn per game. So I think there's a good chance that the Cubs can draw some walks here in this game. He is a right-handed pitcher, Will Warren. Typically, it's tougher to steal off of left-handed pitchers. I don't know what Will Warren's pickoff move is like, but maybe you do. He's worse against left-handed hitters, and Bush, Tucker, and PCA for Chicago are great left-handed hitters. Now, let's go over Imanaga real quick. And I think I'm probably diving into this stuff a little too early. Maybe I'll backtrack to this. But I just kind of want to give you a dose of what we're going to be looking at today. 50% of Imanaga's pitches are four-seam fastballs, and Judge is good at hitting four-seam fastballs. He's batting a 352 off left-handed pitchers. If you like Aaron Judge today, you got that going for you. Now, I haven't looked at Will Warren's splits on what he likes to throw. But when I type in my search engine here, Will Warren's pitch arsenal, it takes me to that website that we've used in previous shows, the Baseball Savant, Savant. I think this is a great source here. So Will Warren, 39% of his pitches are four-seam fastballs, his usage rate on that specific pitch. Now, if we filter this by four-seam fastball and the Cubs and update this, we're getting Kyle Tucker is good against that four-seam, Michael Bush, and PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. Now, relative to the rest of the league, let me see what these guys are looking like. There's some of they're above average for sure at hitting that four seamer. So if you like Bush, PCA, or Tucker today, I could see them doing good against that four seamer that Will Warren likes to rely on. Now, out of those players, who's the best at hitting that four seamer? Kyle Tucker, Michael Bush, and then PCA. Now, off of right-handed pitchers, Bush has the best batting average out of those three, and he actually has the best batting average on the Chicago Cubs against right-handed pitchers, batting a 309, PCA 306, Kyle Tucker 288. I don't know if these guys have any history off of Will Warren, but let's go take a look. No, they don't have any history off him. But when we look at those part factors, that website Baseball Savant, I need to learn how to pronounce that. But when we look at that, the Yankee Stadium is a good ballpark for left-handed hitters to hit home runs in. So I could see, Bush, PCA, Tucker, and if you want to dive even a little bit deeper into the Will Warren arsenal, his next most used pitch is the sweeper. And if we filter this, by sweeper, then we're looking at out of those three, Kyle Tucker is the best at hitting that sweeper. PCA is a little below average, and so is Michael Bush. And then we can look at that sinker, which is at a 20% rate. Once again, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna cover some other games here shortly, but I just kind of want to give you a look at what we are going to be looking at. Kyle Tucker, out of those three, Bush, PCA, and Tucker, Kyle Tucker is the best against the. Oh no, that's sinker. I'm looking for sweeper, right? Oh no, sinker. Sinker is that 20% most used pitch for Will Warren. And then, yeah, Kyle Tucker is the best out of those three at hitting that. And then PCA below average and Michael Bush. What was that second pitch there? The sweep or no, that was the sinker. What about that sweeper again? Was it Kyle Tucker? Was he the best at that? Tucker? Yes. So if I were to choose a batter for the Cubs today, it would be Kyle Tucker. Once again, Will Warren is not the best he's worse against left-handed hitters than right-handed hitters. Kyle Tucker is good against his pitch arsenal for the most part. So I think there is a chance Kyle Tucker goes deep in this game today. But on the flip side, something else to take into consideration is Will Warren's home run per nine inning rate. It's good. I mean, it's 0.8, so he's not giving up a lot of home runs. So it's in a good ballpark, right, for left-handed hitters, but without history there, and without history and with a low home run per 9 inning rate, there might be a more favorable spot to pick a home run hitter today. But I could definitely see it if you like Kyle Tucker today. Now, when it comes to who I think might win this game, I'm still doing my research for this game, for all of these games. So I might have a better idea once we get towards the later stages of the show. But as of right now, um, I like the way that those Chicago bats match up today against Warren more than the Yankees against Imanaga. Um, Chicago has a better bullpen, strikes out much less times per game. Yankees bullpen is below average. I'd have to lean towards the Cubs getting this win, but we might have a better idea in it here in a bit. All right, so now I'm going to go over every game like I just went over that game real quick, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into these games. So we have Miami and Baltimore. Let me see if those starting lineups are out. I think starting lineups are so important. We have one starting lineup that just got released there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 5. Probably have to lean towards probably probably I think it's pretty close to call here. I don't really feel good about even really saying anything about this one, but right now I think I'd have to lean with the Orioles, just because of my notes here. I think I have that the Orioles are a little bit better off of this pitcher's pitch arsenal than the top hitters against the opposing pitcher for Baltimore. But we'll look into that a little bit more here in just a bit. Right now, I guess I'd have to lean Baltimore in that game. Also, if you don't have time to stick around too long, it looks like with that Park Factors website that I like to use, that this ballpark, Baltimore, ranks 8th best for right-handed hitting home runs and first for left-handed hitting home runs. Just real quick, O'Hearn, second best on the team for Baltimore, batting a 303 against right-handed pitching. And this pitcher for Miami, 52%. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's get into that Royals game. 52% of that four seamer from O'Hearn, or not from O'Hearn, from Perez. He throws 52% of that four seamer. O'Hearn's good off that four seamer. He is a left-handed hitter, and I don't know if he has history or not against Perez, but if you're thinking about O'Hearn, I think that's a decent choice there. And then, maybe even Westberg. The second most used pitch from Perez is that slider at a 22%. Westberg's batting 256 off right-handed pitching this season. He's the second best on the team against that slider. And then for Miami, Hicks, is he starting today? Yeah, third best on the team against the four seamer. That Young throws at a 41%, and then Stowers, fifth best on the team, batting a 275 against right-handed pitching. Fifth best on the team against that four seamer. All right, so we got a question in there about the Royals game. Yeah, we can dive into that Royals game a little bit here. So I haven't looked at the pitch arsenal or anything like that for either of these teams. think the Royals are probably hungry for a win here. Right now, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking I'm gonna go with the Royals today. This young Noah Cameron, guys, he's shown some promise. He's a 25-year-old rookie. He's shown some promise this year for the Royals. Once again, Noah Cameron is projected to be that starting pitcher today. And then Mania. This is going to be his season debut. Starting pitcher for the Mets. He's coming back from the 60-day injured list, and he's expected to work as a bulk reliever today against the Royals. He's poised to pitch behind Clay Holmes in Kansas City, is what it says. I'm seeing that Mania is getting the start. So it looks like it's kind of going to be kind of a like a bullpen type game for the Mets, and once again, Cameron is a very talented pitcher for the Royals so far. Once again, he is a rookie. The Royals have a solid bullpen ERA. They don't strike out a whole lot. Good at base stealing prevention. I like the way Mikhail Garcia, Bobby, India, and Fermin matched up against the left-handed uh, Mania. Let me make sure these guys are starting. So we got India, Bobby, Mikhail Garcia, and Fermin in this one. So since this is Mania's first game, I really didn't look in to see if he was like good or bad against a specific, right-handed hitters, left-handed hitters. It looks like he's about even since 2023. Righties are batting 212 off him. Lefties are batting 223. Looks like he's about even. So, but yeah, I'd have to lean towards the Royals in this one as of right now, but we'll dive deeper into it here in a bit. Now, Cameron looks like he is worst off of left-handed hitters. Okay. And let's just dive into his pitch arsenal real quick, and then we'll move on to another game. Pretty sure the Royals have lost their first two games in the series against the Mets. So they're going to be looking to, avoid that sweep today. So we're looking for Noah Cameron's pitch arsenal here. I'm not really seeing. I'm clicking on the source that I've been using, but I haven't been. It's not showing up. If you want to dive deeper into that, feel free to. But yeah, this source just isn't showing Noah Cameron. Let me see real quick. I'm trying to. Oh, here we go. Here we go. 29% four seamer. I said he was worse against left-handed hitters. So players that are good off of lefties for the Mets, he's not going to be in. I'd say it's the best. So I'm thinking either Soto or Lindor. Now let me see how Soto and Lindor hit off of Noah Cameron's favorite pitch, 29% usage rate. He has good balance with his pitch. He doesn't look like he relies on one pitch a whole lot, but he does rely on that four seamer more than any other pitch. And when we look at the Mets, basically what I want to know is who's better off that four seamer? Is it Soto or Lindor? It's going to be Soto, first best on the Mets. So if you were thinking about Soto today, there you have it. Lindor ranks fourth best on the team against that four seam fastball. But yeah, I just like how the Royals bats match up a little bit better today. Um, I feel better about the Royals bats, how they match up against uh, the Mets today more than I did on Friday's show. I think I was leaning towards the Royals getting that victory on Friday. They ended up losing, but I feel a little bit more confident today about the Royals getting the job done. All right. What other starting lineups have been released? Okay, that Miami and Baltimore game just got released. Let me see if I'm still leaning towards Baltimore here. Uh, yeah, I think, you know, I'm seeing that Miami's batters are just a little bit better, batting average wise, against the right-handed pitching than 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 Baltimore's hitters. But Baltimore's hitters are better off that specific pitch type that Perez likes to lean on. I just like, yeah, man, real close game to call. Maybe a run line trend that you really like. I think maybe Miami won yesterday, right? What was it, like 5-0? I had to take a little break yesterday from 6-0. So, something that you could do is go to those run line trends if you find that those are important to you, or whatever, win loss trends even, and after a win, what's Miami's record? They're 17-25. After a loss, Baltimore is 25-25. What about on that run line? Baltimore after a loss on the run line, they're near the bottom of the league. And then after a win, Miami's near the top of the league. I wouldn't have a problem if you wanted to go really either side here. Young. Young, the pitcher for Baltimore, 41% of his pitch type is that four seamer. And when we go to Marlins and look at who's doing good against that four seamer, none of these guys are specifically really good against this pitch type. Now, the Marlins do have some hitters that are good against the hand that Young throws with, that right hand. Something else to keep in mind is the pitch count for each of these pitchers. I think the bullpen could be relied on a little bit more today than usual. Average pitch count for Miami's pitcher Perez, 83. Average pitch count 75 for Young. Both of these teams have below average bullpens. I think stolen bases it could be a huge factor in this game. Both of these pitchers have high walks per 9 inning, uh, high average walks per 9 inning rates. So neither of these teams are in the top 10 at drawing walks per game, but I think base stealing could play a big factor here. Both of these pitchers are right-handed pitchers. I don't know anything about their pickoff moves. But when we look at Friday's notes here, I'm giving Baltimore a significant base stealing advantage, specifically because Miami allows the most stolen bases per game. than any team in the league on Friday's show. That could have changed now. Baltimore is about average at stolen bases per game. So I do give Baltimore a decent sized base stealing advantage in this one. So, and then let me just go back and look at how the Orioles match up against that 52% usage rate four seam fastball by Perez. These guys aren't necessarily specifically great against that four seamer either. I would say, once again, O'Hearn is the guy to look out for in this game. But man, really, really close game to call. But I think I have to lean towards Baltimore. Once again, I don't feel great about it, but I'm not necessarily here to give you like picks. I do like to mention the pick that I feel most confident in every day, but I'm just leaning towards Baltimore in this game. Maybe you loved Baltimore before you tuned into this show, and now you heard some of this information. It's helping you. It's making you feel even more confident or a little bit more hesitant. Um, and yeah, I'd have to lean Baltimore. Once again, I think it's just that base stealing advantage that might play a big factor in that one. Cubs and Yankees. I once again think I'm gonna have to lean the Cubs in this one. We'll get back to that. Tampa Bay and Boston. I know the starting lineups, I think, dropped for this game. Let me go check that out. And then let me just look at my notes here just for a second. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Thank you for joining. I like to talk about professional football, baseball, basketball mainly. Handicapping sports is very time consuming if you want to be good at it. So I don't want to spread myself too thin and start covering other sports quite yet. I'm thinking about getting into soccer a little bit more. The World Cup is right around the corner. It's the world's most popular sport. From my understanding, we got other people in different countries showing interest in this podcast. Okay. So yeah, Tampa Bay and Boston. If you guys want me to go over any specific games, feel free to comment in the chat. But we got Pepio versus Bayo, starting pitchers for each of these teams. Pepio pitched two games against Boston this season and lost both of those games. He pitched versus Boston on 4/15, and Tampa Bay lost that game 7-4. Pepio allowed 9 hits, 6 innings pitched, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, and then he allowed on 6/10. Tampa Bay lost 3-1. He had 5.2 innings pitched, so we can probably expect Pepio to go about 6 innings today. That's what he's at. Pretty much averaged his last 2 games this season against Boston, and Tampa Bay has an average bullpen ERA. He does have a somewhat high walk per 9 innings, average walks per 9 innings rate, and average home runs per 9 inning rate. He is worst against right-handed hitters, Pepio. I would we'll dig into his pitch type here in just a second. Bayo pitched one game against Tampa Bay this season. Boston lost that game 10-8 in extra innings. He allowed 7 hits off 6.1 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 0 home runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Okay, he has a high walk rate, but neither of these teams are top 10 in walks drawn per game. Now, Tampa Bay and Boston. Okay, so I want to dive into these guys' pitch arsenals. From my understanding, Tampa Bay is a speedy team, right? They're like the first on Friday's show. They were the first. They ranked first in stolen bases per game. Boston's not good at that prevention. Boston's above average at base stealing as well, and Tampa Bay is not good at base stealing prevention either. Both of these are right-handed pitchers. I don't know about their pickoff moves, but maybe if you feel like base stealing could be a big factor in this game, which I think it could. Um, you could maybe do some research about these pitchers' individual pickoff moves. But I want to look at these pitch arsenals. Okay, so for Pepio, pitch arsenal, 43% four seamer. 24% changeup. So I'm kind of looking to see who on Boston is good at hitting that four seamer and changeup. I know Duran is batting 282 against right-handed pitching this season. Rafaela, it's 279, and Bregman 270 something. So let's go look at that four seamer and how Boston, those 3 guys specifically for Boston, do against those specific pitches. Rafaela is the best out of those 3 at that four seam fastball, which once again is Pepio's most used pitch relative to the league. Looks like maybe just above average. This is the first time I'm using this this source today. I somewhat know what I'm looking at here, but I want to, uh, you know, throughout the All-Star break, I want to make sure I want to get a little bit better at reading this information here. Once again, I'm still learning things as well, just as much as a lot of you. So, but from my understanding, yeah, Rafaela is the best out of those 3. Duran, Rafaela, Bregman at hitting that four seam fastball, and then Bregman is a little above average, and Duran is just slightly above average hitting that. So I don't see like anything that I like specifically love or hate right there. But just right there, I'd have to lean towards Rafaela. Also worth mentioning, Rafaela has good history against Pepio. And when I say good history, I mean a batter that is batting 300 or more with 10 plus plate appearances against that pitcher. If you want to look more into like batter versus pitcher matchups, you can look at that swishanalytics.com or something along those lines. I can't remember. There was a source that I used to use that was a little bit behind on the updates. I can't remember if it was this or different websites, but once again, I used to handicap baseball last year. This year, this is my 4th day doing it. Um, so I'm still, shaking off some rust here. Although you couldn't tell that by Thursday show. Um, so I was looking at what Tampa or Boston hitters, right? Boston hitters. There we go. Rafaela, I just wanted to see if maybe he's had a dinger off this guy. No, but he has 11 plate appearances, according to SwishAnalytics.com. 11 plate appearances, batting a 364, zero home runs. So there you have it for Rafaela. I think that would be the pitcher that I look to, the hitter that I look for the most for Boston today. Um, and then I also wanted to see how those Boston guys matched up against that changeup. Rafaela's Duran, Bregman. Bregman is actually good against that changeup. First best on this Red Sox team. I believe he is starting today. Let me double check that. Where did my starting lineups go? Oh, here we go. Yeah, he's batting that 2 hole today. Pepio is worse against right-handed hitters. Rafaela and Bregman are right-handed hitters. So those would be the two guys I'd be looking for today uh, for Boston, Rafaela and Bregman. And then Bayo. But once again, Rafaela just has a higher batting average than Bregman. We can go look real quick to see if Bregman has any home runs against this guy. Bregman does have a dinger off of him. 3 plate appearances, one dinger. He's batting a perfect 1,000 against Pepio. And then once again, Tampa Bay's bullpen ranks 15th in the league. Um, Pepio, if you're looking for like a home run from Bregman, Pepio does have a 1.4 home runs per 9 inning rate. But I don't think that that Park Factors had this ballpark is listed as one of the best places for right-handed hitters hitting home runs. I don't know what they have them ranked, but it wasn't top 10 from my understanding. Bayo, um, and let me backtrack again. Pepio, his average pitch count's 91. So he could go. We already kind of mentioned that it's around 6 innings, and same with Bayo, about the same. Now, once again, I like how Tampa Bay's batters match up a little bit more in this game today than I like Boston's. At least when it comes to batting average against that specific hand that the pitcher's throwing with, that right hand. Um, Now let's go look at Bayo, his pitch arsenal here, and see what he likes to throw. He likes to throw that sinker, 38% sinker, 22% sweeper. Okay, so when we filter this, Tampa Bay Rays by that sinker, right? That was his first highest, most used pitch, 38%. That sinker. Nobody on Tampa Bay is really great against that sinker. Say Josh Lowe, which I do have him, on this list that I kind of like as a batter, batting a 254 against right-handed pitching. Uh, I don't see anything that I love there. Sinker, and then what was I saying? The sweeper. Um, Caminero, Simpson, Caminero. Um, Nothing that I really love here. Nothing that's like, oh wow, that guy's really good at that specific pitch. But I will say that Aranda, Yandy Diaz, and Josh Lowe have good history off of Bayo. So I would probably have to lean towards Tampa Bay in this game. Um, at least maybe my guess is that they are a dog in this one. So maybe on that run line, but I like their bats more, and if they can get on base, they can swipe some bags against the uh, Boston Red Sox here. Boston does have a good bullpen. I wouldn't be surprised if. Uh, well, hold on real quick. I wouldn't be surprised if the Red Sox just won by a run again, man. They won by 1 run against the Rays on Thursday, 1 run on Friday, one run yesterday. So these games have been very competitive between these two teams. Something else that might help you is that run line trend, right? After a loss, Tampa Bay is above league average after a loss on that run line. After a win, Boston on the run line is below league average. So yeah, I have to lean towards Tampa Bay. Just from what we covered, Tampa Bay to cover that one. All right, moving right along here. I said that I was kind of going to go over each game briefly at the start of the show to give my input on each game, just kind of like what my first instincts are. But a lot of these starting lineups were not out when I first started, and I just kind of decided not to do that. Okay, so we talked about Miami, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Boston. Did we really? Yeah, we talked about Cubs and Yankees a little bit. Seattle and Detroit here. Gilbert versus Flaherty. Both of them are right-handed pitchers. Gilbert pitched one game against Detroit this season, and Seattle lost that game 4-1. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 0 home runs, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. So if you're looking for maybe a Gilbert getting some strikeouts today, he did have 10 on April 1st against Detroit, and Detroit ranks 22nd in team strikeouts per game. Gilbert is worse against left-handed hitters, and his average pitch count is 85. According to the source that I use. Now, I remember last season I used to look up a few numbers, and they weren't exactly all of the sources didn't have the exact same number, but the source I used today had his average pitch count at 85, which is rotowire.com. All right, so let me look at these starting lineups real quick. If you guys have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to let us know. Once again, the best way to comment is going to be through that Kick. It's an app called Kick or YouTube. Once again, I mentioned that I like doing this during football season too, this type of stuff. So if you guys like football, uh, we got stuff like this right around the corner. Once again, I try to not make every show the same, try to have a little bit of differentiation in these shows. Okay, so we talked about Gilbert. And then Flaherty hasn't pitched against Seattle this season. Flaherty, starting pitcher for Detroit today. He has a high walk rate, and Seattle ranks 9th in team walks drawn per game. Makes me want to look at our notes from Friday and see how Seattle steals bases. They are good at stealing bases, but Detroit is good at base stealing prevention, is what we had in our notes from Friday. Flaherty has a somewhat high home run per 9 average, 1.6. Worst against left-handed hitters. Average pitch count 92. In case I didn't mention it, Gilbert average pitch count 85. So let's dig into these these metrics here, the handiness or the pitch type of each pitcher. This ballpark, I didn't see it on that top 10 list for right-handed or left-handed hitters to hit home runs. Which again, it's baseball savant park factors. If you type in park factors in your search engine, it should pop up. I filter it by the 1 year. It says like rolling. It says something about rolling years. I just filtered it for this year, for 1 year. Okay. So anyways, Gilbert Gilbert's pitch arsenal. Gilbert likes that 36% slider. That's his most used pitch this season, and 32% four seam. 32% four seam. So guys that are good that I have on this list against right-handed pitchers for Detroit is going to be Riley Green, Keith, Torres, McKinstry, and Dingler. Did I check the starting lineups for these yet? Gilbert versus Flaherty. Let me just look real quick. McKinstry and Dingler are all starting. Okay. All right, so let's go see who on this Detroit team is good against that slider. I do see that Torres has good history off of Gilbert. Slider, right? Is what we're looking for. Slider. For the Tigers. Who's good at hitting that slider? Out of those guys up top that we mentioned here, Colt Keith. He's batting a 284 off right-handed pitchers this season. So like above. I gotta learn how to kind of read this chart here. I don't want to say something and say that is above league average, but it looks like he hits it at a decent rate. Torkelson, although he's not on this list, and Riley Green. What about that four seamer? Kluber, Torres. It's kind of not surprising to see Torres on that list. Torkelson's also on that list, but Torres, not surprising to see him on that list because he does have, once again, good history against Gilbert. And we can look at the exact number that Swish Analytics has. But once again, I can't remember if this was like the most accurate source or not. I think it may have been RotoWire. I'll have to double check throughout the All-Star break. Once again, I'm just getting back into the swing of all of this. This is my fourth time this season capping baseball. Okay, so we were looking at Gilbert and history that Torres has against him. He doesn't have a home run against him, but he's batting a 308 at 13 at bats, 14 plate appearances. So I both of these pitchers have somewhat a high home run rates. The home runs average per 9 innings. 1.5 for Gilbert, 1.4 for Flaherty, but yeah, or 1.6 for Flaherty. But I already mentioned that this ballpark wasn't top 10 on that right-hand or left-handed home run hitters list that I like to look at. Um, Walks. We talked about Seattle's walks, right? Um, and how they're good at drawing walks. They rank ninth in team walks drawn per game. I was leaning towards Detroit's on Friday, and they Detroit lost again on Saturday, yesterday. Um, in this game, we didn't look at Flaherty's pitch arsenal yet, so I just kind of want to look at Flaherty's real quick. There were three hitters that I had in mind today for Seattle. Crawford batting 315 against right-handed pitching. Williamson 251 and Rodriguez 250. So yeah, let's go. We were looking for Flaherty. Oop, Flaherty, cool. What does he like to throw? That four seam. He relies on it quite often. 46%. Excuse me. 46% four seam. Does Crawford, Williamson, and Rodriguez specifically hit that well? Mariners. No, but Cal Raleigh does. Um, I don't know how good it is, but I can kind of try to look here in a second. But I would say Julio Rodriguez matches up well here against that specific pitch, against that specific hand that Flaherty throws against. And did we look to see if there was any history here against Flaherty? Yeah, Rosa Reyna has a dinger off him. That's it. Not a whole lot of history to work with here. Seattle, their bullpen ERA ranks 11th. Detroit ranks 20th. After a win on that run line, Seattle's near the bottom of the league on the run line after a win. After a loss, Detroit is a little bit above average. Um, you know, I didn't do a whole lot of. I didn't do any research yesterday. I was just thinking maybe Detroit would get that win yesterday. They didn't. Detroit let me down on Friday, and I'm leaning towards Detroit again in this one, but uh, they misled me a couple on Friday, and I was leaning towards them on Saturday. They lost both of them. I'm leaning towards Detroit again, so give me Seattle. Give me Seattle today. Don't feel great about that game. It's a stay away game for me. I know a lot of you already know this, but I'm really selective in what I like to choose, and I don't know what's going to happen in every single baseball game. But I like, finding a spot that I feel most confident in, and that's not going to be the game that I like the most today. Okay, let's move on here. So we've already gotten the most early games that are starting. We got some games starting up in about an hour and a half. Rockies and Cincinnati Reds here. Okay, so Cincinnati does rank second in that Park Factors source that I like to use for right-handed hitting home runs. Gomber, I don't think there was a whole lot of information about. I don't think that a specific handed batter was doing particularly well, better than the other bat hand that people bat with. Let me try to simplify what I'm saying here a little bit better than that. So, since 2023 versus right-handed pitchers, right-handed hitters against Gomber, they have a 286 batting average, and lefties have 288. Home runs are about the same. Um, but once again, that park factor likes the right-handed hitters in this Cincinnati game. Two guys that are batting decently off the left-handed pitching for Cincinnati is Espinal and Stevenson. Um, I would have to lean towards Stevenson getting a home run today against Gomber. He is a right-handed batter, batting in that 7 hole today. Now Espinal doesn't have a home run this year, from my understanding. So if you're looking to, you know, be truly psychic and call Espinal's first home run of the season today, there you go. But I would have to lean more towards Stevenson here. Once again, he's batting at 268 off left-handed pitching. Gomber has a high average home runs per 9 inning rate, decently high, 1.8. Stevenson also has one home run off of Gomber, but he's not the greatest, or like he's not specifically great or terrible against that four seam that Gomber likes to throw. Um, Let me just go Reds. Um, I was wanting to look at Gomber, his pitch arsenal. Well, I looked at it earlier. I think it was and I know his main pitch type is that four seam, 35%, but then it's that curveball at 24%. The next pitch that he likes to rely on is that change and slider at 15% apiece, but 24% that curve. So let's go see who on the Reds is good at the curve. I'm hoping to see Stevenson up there, and yeah, it looks like he is decent against that. So that would be probably my favorite home run hitter, at least. Probably in this game, I would say. One moment, please. One moment. All right. So Martinez, right-handed pitcher for Cincinnati, hasn't pitched against Colorado this season, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but Gomber hadn't pitched against Cincinnati this season either. And Gomber's average pitch count this season is 81. So there's a decent chance that 26th ranked Colorado Rockies bullpen ERA can come into play today. So Martinez, um, average pitch count 80. So I could see Cincinnati getting their 16th ranked bullpen ERA some work in this game as well. Uh, Batters that I got my eye on for the Rockies are Freeman, Goodman, and Moniak. Freeman batting a 380 off right-handed pitching. Goodman 289 and Moniak 262. Now we were talking about maybe a home run in this game, right? So if we look at which hand these guys bat with, right? Freeman Right-hand did batter. Only has one home run this year, though. Goodman is not in the starting lineup today, which makes me like Cincinnati a little bit more here. And then Moniak, left-handed hitter. Let's just look real quick at Martinez's pitch arsenal. Martinez. Come on. Okay. %. He's pretty balanced. 22% four seam, 21% change, 20% cutter. So when we're looking at that four seam change and cutter, let's see if we can see Freeman or Moniak on this list. So I say cutter, 20%. That's the third most used pitch by him. Okay, yeah, we're looking for Rockies hitters. Once again, we haven't dove into the exact pitch arsenal and all that stuff quite yet, but I tell you what, man, it looks like Toglia does really good against the cutter, and I know he does have some power. Just isn't. I don't know what he's batting against that specific hand, but if you're looking for home run hitters for the Rockies, that could be it. He is a switch hitter though, so he should be batting left today against that righty. But he's good against one of those pitches there that this pitcher likes to use, Martinez. What else does he like to use? Four seam is his most popular pitch here. His most used pitch. Freeman is the best player on the Rockies against that four seam fastball, and then Moniak is second best. So if you like either of those batters to maybe get a hit or a home run, there you have it. I would be leaning more towards Freeman, even though he only has one this season. What about like Doyle, man? Doyle is a righty. I just don't know how he's batting against this specific hand at the top of my head, and I'm not going to look into it, but it's probably not too impressive. But I do want to look at how he bats against that four seam, and he's okay. Doyle is. What was that last pitch that or Martinez likes to throw? Change up. I don't think we looked at change up. Freeman. Yeah, so I think Freeman could get a hit. Once again, he lacks power, but if you're looking for a home run hitter for the Rockies, I would say maybe Doyle or Toglia. I mean, that really comes to no surprise, right? Let's see. Toglia has 10 homers this year. Doyle has 7. Anyways, let's get back to the matter at hand here. So, yeah, both of these bullpens could come into play. When we looked at stolen bases on Friday, these numbers could have changed a little bit, but looks like Cincinnati has the advantage there. I'd have to lean towards towards Cincinnati beating my Rockies today. Just the way the Rockies have been playing this season, it is. I mean, they're playing terrible this season. Now they've been doing okay this series against Cincinnati, but I'm not gonna let a couple games steer me away from Cincinnati here today. Got to go with Cincinnati, even on that run line. What I will say is that Gavin Lux and Ellie De La Cruz, I have in my notes here, are the best hitters against that four-seam fastball, which Gomber likes to use. And both of them, Lux isn't in the starting lineup today, but Ellie is. So if you like Ellie for something, you got that going for you. Um, Ellie's once again that second best. It looks like second best batter on the Cincinnati Reds against that four-seam fastball. Moving on, we already talked about that Royals game a little bit. So let's just continue down the list here. How long have we been on the waves? About an hour and 10 minutes. And the first games are starting up about an hour and 20 minutes. Let's keep it moving here. And I know that we're going through these games a little bit slow today. I'd rather look at this stuff a little bit more in depth than we have been than not. Okay, so Jake Irvin. I feel like if you guys watched this show already, you kind of already do your own research, right? You already know how to do like run line stuff and trends and stuff like that. Once again, I didn't pull up any of that information today. What I'm mainly looking at is a little bit more in depth here today. So, Washington and Milwaukee, neither of these teams have pitched against, or neither of these pitchers have pitched against these opposing teams this season. Jake Irvin, pitcher for Washington, has a relatively high walks per 9 inning average, 3.0. Same with that home run rate, although I will say that this Brewers ballpark, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe Brewers ballpark is excellent at hitting home runs in for right-handed hitters, but just based on that park factor source, it says that it's not. And um, is Brewers home run park is something that you can look up. No, it's not a home run park. No, home run park is not. Oh, that's something else. A lower than average overall park factor has a reputation for hitting home runs, but you know, feel free to do your own research on those ballparks and stuff. But from my understanding, it's not the greatest place for people to hit home runs. Anyways, Irvin is worse against left-handed hitters. Okay. His average pitch count is 93, so he could, see some work today. He does walk a lot of batters. He has a high walks per 9 inning average at 3.0. And Milwaukee ranks eighth best in team walks drawn per game. And when we go to that Washington Milwaukee game from Friday, um, Milwaukee ranked second in stolen bases per game, and Washington ranked 13th in stolen bases allowed per game. Now, I did. What hand does Irvin pitch with? Man, I have so many tabs open right now. Irvin's a right-handed pitcher. Typically, it's harder to steal against lefties. So once again, I don't know what his pickoff move is like. I'll look real quick. Jake Irvin pickoff move. Let's see if I see anything that comes up in my search engine here. I don't see anything, but maybe you have a better idea than I do about that. But I do know once again that it's typically uh, better to steal off of right-handed pitchers than lefties, and Irvin's a righty. Milwaukee's a good base stealing team. They get walked. He likes to walk people. Now, when we look at his pitch arsenal, he throws the 33% four seam and a 32% curve. Uh, I'll do my best to be more prepared for, you know, the pitch arsenal, so we can go through that a little bit quicker on the next show that we have. It's going to be on Friday with the All-Star break coming up. But yeah, so we got Collins here that's batting a 280, and Yelich batting a 280 off of right-handed pitchers. Frelick 279, Terang 275, Contreras 251. I do have in my notes here that Contreras has good history against Irvin. And then when we go to look at that Brewers hitters against that 33% used four seam fastball by Irvin, Yelich is the top guy of the guys that I mentioned. Collins, Yelich, Frelick, Terang, and Contreras. Yelich is the best, but it's not significant, and he's not. It doesn't look like he's terrific at it. And there's a lot of other statistics here, guys, on this website here that I'm using. It shows what his slugging percentages, right? Batting a 541, Yelich against that four seam fastball this season. Does it just have just batting average, batting a 329 against that specific pitch? Contreras. Looks like Yelich is hitting the ball harder percentage wise than Contreras against that specific pitch. And his slugging percentage is better. But once again, Irvin also likes to throw that curveball. So when we look at the curveball, Contreras looks like he's excellent at hitting that curveball. Slugging percentage 944. Hard hit ball percentage 60%. Batting average 389 against that curveball. Compared to and also the Collins is third best on the team against that curveball, and it looks like he's matched up well in this situation for him today. Yelich is okay against the curve. Terang's and Frelick are decent against the curve. So, but if you're looking for like a home run hitter, say maybe Contreras here. And we did mention that Contreras had good history against this batter. Now he's only batting 251 off of right-handed pitchers this season. But Jake Irvin, Contreras. Contreras has 2 home runs off him through 12 plate attempts, 9 plate appearances, and he's batting a 333 off him. So he's had 3 hits off of him at 9 at bats, and 2 of those hits were for home runs. So if you like Contreras today or something, there you go. Now Peralta, right-handed pitcher for Milwaukee, hasn't pitched against Washington this season. 3.1 average walk rates, but Washington isn't in the top 10 in team walks drawn per game. That doesn't mean that they won't get walked today, but that's just a piece of information. So average pitch count for Peralta 95. And did I look at starting lineups for this game? Let me just double check. Collins is not in. So, we kind of went over some Collins stuff. He's not in today. So Yelich is, Frelick is, Terang is, and Contreras is projected to start in this game. And let me just go over Washington real quick. Okay. So let's go look at what Peralta, his pitch arsenal looks like. Relies heavily on that four-seam fastball at a 57% rate, 20% change. That's his second next most used pitch. So let's go look. So I think who's good for Washington against that four seam is going to be it's going to be very important. James Wood and C.J. Abrams. It's not really surprising there. Doesn't look like they're terrific league average wise, but looks like they are above average. But once again, I'm going to have to learn how to read this a little bit better here. But slugging percentage for Wood, 633. Abrams, 484 against that heavily used four seam fastball by Peralta. Batting average, 337 for James Wood, 295 for C.J. Abrams. And I would be leaning more towards Abrams, I think, to do better, even though Wood has a better better statistics that we just looked at. Abrams is batting the best on Washington right now against right-handed pitching. Batting at 278. See, and then we can go look at that changeup, which these guys could see today. And Abrams is looks like he's pretty good against that changeup. So yeah, be leaning towards Abrams to have some success today in that matchup. Bullpens they could get used on, relied upon. If they do, once again, these guys have high average pitch counts, which meaning that they could go to the later stages of the game. But Washington does have the worst bullpen ERA in baseball, ranked 30th, and Milwaukee ranks 18th, so they're right about average. Both of these teams have, once again, both these pitchers have relatively high walk rates, but Milwaukee is better at drawing walks. But I do want to see how speedy Washington is. On Friday's show, we saw that they were ranked 8th in stolen bases per game. But Milwaukee's done a good job at defending against that this year. They ranked 4th best in stolen bases allowed per game. So, with all that being said, I'd have to lean towards Milwaukee in this game. With my two favorite hitters in this game is going to be Contreras from Milwaukee and C.J. Abrams. All right, Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Let's see if maybe we can find a ballpark that has some lineup confirmations. Let's go look for a home run hitter or something, and then we'll continue to dive into some of these other games here. So Let's go look for a ballpark that's good on the park factors. Angels Park ranks fifth for right-handed hitting home runs. And then Toronto and the Athletics rank ninth best for lefties and righties. Kind of interested in that Toronto and Athletics game. Let me look at something real quick here. I'm kind of wanting to see if uh, Betios or Springs is bad against a specific hand. I think they're about even. So it's not like righties or lefties are doing like super great. But what I will say is 6, 9, 12, 15. It looks like Jeffrey Springs, pitcher for the Athletics, left-handed pitcher, um, is a little bit more susceptible to giving up the long ball to righties, even though the batting average for lefties is a little bit higher. Now he's faced more righties, but uh, if you multiply the lefties by five, he's only given up 3 home runs compared to the 20 since 2023, the lefty versus righty. If you multiply that by five, it's still less than those 20 home runs than he has given allowed to right-handed hitters since 2023. So, um, we're talking about Springs here. Okay. So it looks like 42% of his pitches are are four seam fastballs, and VJG and Clement both have home runs against him. So VJG has 12 home runs this year. Clement has 4. So if you're looking for a home run, I mean, it comes to no surprise that I would lean towards VJG in that situation today. He's batting a 325 off left-handed uh, pitchers. Ninth best ballpark according to the park factors. Ninth best ballpark for right-handed hitters to hit home runs. He does have a home run off of this guy. The Athletics bullpen ranks 29th. So let's say he doesn't get a home run off the starting pitcher. He would go up against the 29th ranked Athletic bullpen after that. I think I think that's probably my favorite home run hitter that we've looked at so far today, VJG. Um, Now what else does this Springs guy have in his tool bag here? Pitch arsenal. Um, we mentioned that 42%. So then he likes the change up and the slider. So when we look at Blue Jays against that changeup, VJG isn't particularly good against the changeup. But what about that slider? Um, he's decent against it. So yeah. And then something else to take into account is like what about that wind, right? Now I didn't see any significant wind that was going on today in these games, but I do know that we talked about that Rockies game, right? Let me close some of these tabs too. Let me get a little bit more organized here. Close some tabs. I still got players' birthdays. That tab's still open. Which I mean, I don't look into that stuff too much, but I think what Buxton hit a cycle yesterday, right? Buxton hit a cycle yesterday on Buxton bobblehead day, and so I like looking into like what promotions teams are running and birthdays and all types of stuff, man. Because if you pick Buxton to get a cycle yesterday, coincidences like that happen, from time to time, and it's nice to, if you like playing a long shot, it's nice to hit that. So, um, I was going to be looking at wind, right? I'm just closing these tabs. Still got Gomber's pitch arsenal up here. So we're looking at springs. Let me update rotogrinders.com real quick to see if they have anything. Okay, update in the Atlanta game they have. Increase the risk of that game being played or increase the risk of that game being delayed is what Rotogrinders is saying right now. Um, Not certain if they'll stick it out or not. Looks like that one's a little bit more in danger of playing. Now, when we're talking about wind, right? We mentioned that Cincinnati ballpark is favorable to right-handed hitters hitting home runs. The wind looks like it's traveling traveling out towards left center field at about 4 to 5 miles per hour, 4 to 6 miles per hour, which isn't significant, but it could give a little bit of extra carry to that ball. And you can always dive deep into like the humidity and the weather. Seeing temperatures 86, 88, 90. Typically, the hotter it is, the more likely it is for a ball to travel. Um, Yeah, so generally baseballs tend to travel further in warmer and humid weather compared to colder and drier weather. So there you have it. I don't know what the humidity looks like there today in Cincinnati. But you can dive into all types of stuff here, right? 77% humidity, which looks pretty humid. Anyways, with I think the Athletics are playing in Sacramento right now. 55% humidity. Looks like the high there today is 93 degrees. So looks like, what about that wind there in Sacramento? Looks like it's pushing a little bit more towards center field. Let's still a little bit to the left is what I'm seeing here on Swish Analytics. Looking at 5.5 to 8 miles per hour. So that could give the ball a little bit of extra push. Now, um, yeah, I think VJG is looking decent here. Somebody else to mention here is Bichette. I'm not going to look into it right now. All that stuff, but Bichette I'm seeing has some good history off of Springs. Uh, oh, cool. Yeah. So Clement. No, if Clement does have a home run off of him, he's batting a 394. So that's another guy to maybe look at. He's a righty. right-handed hitter. And then Bichette. I'm not. Here we go. Bichette's batting a 385 off this guy, Jeffrey Springs. 13 at bats, 5 hits, 0 home runs, but I was looking decent there. All right, and then I do want to mention, since we're on this game, let's just go ahead and cover it real quick. We don't have starting lineups quite yet for this game, which is kind of why I've been on air a little bit longer today, and we've been going over some great things. But um, the starting lineups doesn't look like there's 4 games near the later stages of the day today that haven't confirmed these starting lineups yet. So I'm a little hesitant to dive into games that don't have starting lineups yet. So let's go back up and just go to that Pittsburgh and Minnesota game. All right. It doesn't look like Pittsburgh has their lineup yet, but Buxton, Larnack, France. This France's birthday, but it doesn't look like he's playing today. I think he's still with the Twins, if I'm not mistaken. Castro. I'm liking how Minnesota matches up against Keller today. I think specifically Buxton, Correa. Buxton and Correa. The reason why I say that is because Keller, projected starting pitcher for Pittsburgh, is he's a right-handed pitcher, and he's worse against right-handed hitters this season. And then Buxton's batting a 277 off of right-handed pitching. Correa 251 off of right-handed pitching this season. So there you have it. Now let's go look. Let's go look into this Pirates, or excuse me, this Minnesota Twins. The pitch arsenal for Keller. Mitch Keller, right? Yeah, Mitch Keller's pitch arsenal. That's what I want to look at here. 35% of that four seam. 35% four seamer here. Who on the Minnesota Twins is good at hitting that four seam? And his next favorite pitch. It's close, but 18% sweeper, 17% slider. Okay, so I think the most important thing here is who's good against that four seam for the Minnesota Twins specifically, and one of the batters that we mentioned that are good against right-handed hitters or pitchers. Looks like Castro is the best on this list. Yo, what's up, JB? Castro is at the top of this list. 2.4 four seam. Willie Castro. I don't know, JB. Possibly. Probably. Okay, so yeah, Castro good against the four seam. And Buxton's okay against that four seam fastball. And then what about that sweeper and slider? So those are the two guys I'm really looking at right here. And do these guys have any history? Let's go just look real quick to see if they have any history off of Mitch Keller. No, They don't, according to swishanalytics.com. So nobody for the Twins does. So I'm also just interested once again on how Buxton and Castro do against that sweeper. Buxton and Castro. Buxton is barely a little bit ahead of Castro against that sweeper. Now, when we're talking about slugging percentage, right? I think that's important as well, right? The slugging percentage, especially when you're looking for a home run hitter. Um, Slugging percentage against that fastball. Castro and Buxton. Buxton barely edges him on that, and you know, for some of you that don't know what slugging percentage is, it's a measure of a batter's power hitting ability calculated as total bases reached divided by at bats. So it values extra base hits, doubles, triples, and home runs, right? So it doesn't tell me right here like how many home runs these guys have hit off of that specific pitch, but you get a general idea. And I'll learn how to read these tables a little bit better. Once again, this is my fourth show on this podcast this season, capping and talking about baseball. But um, okay, so four seam. We talked about the sweeper. What about that slider? Castro or Buxton? Gonna be Buxton has the advantage on that specific pitch. Castro looks like he's not the greatest, a little bit below average at batting against that pitch specifically, which is the third most used pitch by Keller. Is that 17% used slider? Castro's only batting a 216 off that. Buxton's batting a 275. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would say Buxton's my favorite hitter in in that one for the Twins. And then Woods Richardson, pitcher for Minnesota. Hasn't pitched against Pittsburgh this season. Um, and once again, I don't think Keller has like a huge home runs per nine inning average. This ballpark, from my understanding, it didn't specifically say that this ballpark was a home run hitting ballpark, but I just do like to go over each game, So, Woods Richardson, worst against left-handed hitters. And then Horwitz is batting a 255 against right-handed pitchers this season. So really, that's the guy. He only has 2 home runs this season, but I just want to look real quick at Woods Richardson's pitch arsenal and see what he likes to throw and who's good on this team here. He relies heavily on the four seam, 46%. Four seam and 29% slider. The next would be the 15% curve. So, I do want to mention that Woods Richardson average pitch count this season is 82. So that could, get Minnesota's bullpen, their 22nd ranked bullpen ERA in this game, a little bit more than usual. So let's go see just real quick Pittsburgh. How do they do against that four seam fastball? Some of these players here. They're not the greatest. Um, just to get like a hit. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Kiner Falefa. He's batting 278 off of right-handed pitchers, but once again, Woods Richardson is worse against left-handed hitters, which made me gravitate towards looking at Spencer Horwitz, which I'm looking at how he is against the four-seam fastball. Not the greatest. Let's look at that next pitch, that slider. Um, he's, I guess, okay at the slider, and kind of Falefa's a little below average, it looks like. So, I mean, I guess I'd have to go with Horwitz to probably just get a hit here in this game. Honestly, I don't really like how Pittsburgh matches up against Woods Richardson. Although I think Pittsburgh could have success. I mean, it's baseball, right? Anything could happen. You could have zero hits and zero home runs, and um, if the wind come blowing in 20 miles per hour, and this guy hits a home run off the best pitcher in the league, right? But I like to look at numbers a lot, and it's just kind of telling me that the Pirates might struggle a little bit scoring today, but they might be able to score maybe a little bit later on. Once again, once they see that 22nd ranked bullpen from Minnesota. I have to lean towards Minnesota getting this victory here today. Now, I do see Woods Richardson has a high walk per 9 inning average. Um, Pittsburgh isn't great at drawing walks. I think maybe part of that is because they rank 25th in team strikeouts per game, so they are striking out that Pittsburgh team. But when we look, let's say that they do get walked a little bit. How are Pittsburgh at stealing bases? On Friday's show, we had them ranked at ninth, best in baseball at stealing bases, and Minnesota ranks 14th in base stealing prevention, so right about average for Minnesota. So I don't think there's a huge concern there, but it is worth mentioning. But yeah, give me the Twins in this one. Texas and Houston. Texas and Houston. All right. I don't see anything that mentions anything uh, like significant about this ballpark. According to that Park Factors, been in the lab since early this morning, so sometimes fatigue really does start catching up. It's nice to like at least stand up and take a station identification break, but no, we're just gonna keep pushing through today. All right, so Evaldi, right-handed pitcher going up against Brown, is what I'm seeing here. Okay, so Evaldi pitched one game versus in Texas. Um, well, Houston isn't Texans, but you can in the Texas Rangers ballpark on 5/16, and Texas lost that game 6-3. He actually pitched pretty good. 5.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. So walking was a problem here, but he doesn't necessarily have a high walk rate. He is worse against left-handed hitters, I see in my notes here. And his average pitch count is around 84. Now, uh, the opposing pitcher, Brown's average pitch count is about 95. But I do want to mention both of these bullpens are solid. They rank third and fourth in bullpen ERA this season. So, what I'm kind of looking to do maybe here is to look for a left-handed hitter uh, for for Houston. But what I will mention, I think Altuve has like super good history against this guy for some reason. He just had, Altuve just has a lot of plate appearances against him. 58 plate appearances, 7 home runs, batting a 291 against him. 7 home runs is a lot against somebody, but Altuve is not a left-handed hitter. I was looking for more of a left-handed hitter that I liked for this Houston team, but I don't really see one that I absolutely. They only have looks like one true left-handed hitter starting today. But yeah, let's go look at that Eovaldi pitch arsenal here. Eovaldi, excuse me, Eovaldi pitch arsenal. It is important to like take breaks throughout your research and stuff. You don't want to make a typo. You don't want to misspeak when talking about this stuff or doing this research. It could be counterintuitive. So look at Eovaldi, and as we continue talking about the games, the more, um, especially when we've been on air for a long time, the more it could, I could make a mistake here. So if I misspeak or make a error, please forgive me. Red Sox or White Sox, JB, or Not Move Podcast? Split 29% four seam, 28%, and then the curveball 21% cutter. So let's just go look real quick. We don't have a big selection of left-handed hitters for Houston today, so I'm just going to look to see who's best, really against the splitter, which is this Evaldi's most popular pitch, the splitter. Um, right, yeah. I'm not looking for Pirates, so I'm looking for Houston Astros that are good against that splitter. Cam Smith, is he in the starting lineup? I gotta go look at the starting lineup here. No, he's not. Or yes, he is. Cam Smith is also batting. Hold on, I got this. Okay, okay. So Cam Smith is batting a 268 off of right-handed pitchers this season. Uh, Looks like he's the guy who is the best against that splitter on this Houston Astros team. So I like what I see from him a little bit. Um, Jake Myers, is he starting today? I don't believe he is because I believe he's a lefty. Um, he was good against the splitter. Jeremy Pena is not starting either. So we have to take Pena away from this like list. What about Altuve? He's okay at this. What other pitch did we like? Four seam and curve. Four seam fastball. Pena, Altuve, curveball. I'm gonna just guess it's Altuve is up there at least. Yeah, he's okay. Um, I mean, yeah. Altuve has a great history. Or I wouldn't say like he just has a huge sample size. Once again, Altuve batting a 291. I would be looking at him or Cam Smith, maybe for a hit or a home run or something like that. Uh, Anyways, Brown here. Now I think I'm gonna. We had a question specifically about the Red Sox here, so I'm gonna pause on this game for a moment because questions I can only answer so many questions, but if somebody has a question, I'd rather ask, or I'd rather answer that question than continue talking about something that somebody might not be interested in. So, asked about the Red Sox today. You know, the Red Sox only won. They played this Tampa Bay team Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The Red Sox won each game by 1 run. I wouldn't be surprised to see if that happened again today, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see Tampa Bay win this game today. Tampa Bay has 4 hitters today that is in the starting lineup that is batting above a 300 batting average, above right against right-handed pitchers. And Bayo is a right-handed pitcher for Boston. Um, and those 4 hitters for Tampa Bay are Aranda. Excuse me if I botch these names, because these are some new guys that I am somewhat familiar with, but just um, could botch a little bit here. Mangum, Simpson, and Yandy Diaz. So those are the top 4 of the order for Tampa Bay. That's where I really think that Tampa Bay could do their damage. Also, um, Bayo doesn't look like he doesn't look like he has a high walks per 9 inning average. But if Tampa Bay were to get some base runners on, which if you have the top 4 guys in your order batting above 300, there's a good chance you're going to get some guys on base. They are good, very good at base stealing. Tampa Bay is, although I think what we mentioned is that Boston. And Boston's very they're near the bottom of the league at base stealing prevention. So I just see a lot more hitters that I like today for Tampa Bay. I think this is going to be another close game. I would have to lean towards Tampa Bay getting this win here. And specifically, Aranda, Yandy Diaz, and Josh Lowe have a good history against this pitcher. I think what we talked about earlier is that Bregman was the hitter that I liked for Boston, just based on all the information. And when I say what like if I like something, it's just what the kind of what the data leads me towards, right? I mean, if you want to know like my real opinion about all these games, I mean, I don't know. I can just freestyle real quick, without like any statistics and anything, man. Give me Baltimore over Miami. I'm literally just putting all the statistics aside and just like going based off of feel. And I think like if what you think is going to happen, just like what you're feeling and the statistics align with it, it's probably the best case scenario instead of I don't really like this team, but the statistics are telling me to take this team. I'm not something's off about this team, but the statistics are telling me to take this team. I'm going to take this team. I'd rather it be like, man, I feel good about this team. The statistics are aligned with it. Let's roll with it. Um, Anyways, if we go with we'll just talk money line, I suppose. Just who's going to win this game. Give me Baltimore over Miami. Tampa Bay over Boston, Chicago over New York Yankees, um, uh, Detroit over Seattle, Cincinnati over Rockies, Cleveland over White Sox, Royals over Mets, Brewers over Nationals, Twins over Pirates, Houston over Texas, St. Louis over Atlanta, um, Toronto over the Athletics, Dodgers over Giants, um, Arizona over Angels, and um, Phillies over Padres. And that's just what my gut's telling me, right? I wasn't using statistics. I'm telling you guys, once I end the kind of what we're talking about with each game, what I like in that game or who I like, it's based on statistics, not just what I'm feeling. That list that I just went off on was just what I was feeling. All right. So, what game were we looking into? Oh, that Houston and Texas game. So, Brown, and we've been on the air for a while now. I'm starting to get tired, guys. I've been doing this for the last 6 hours now with not a whole lot of breaks, but we've been on air for a couple hours now. Um, this is very mentally draining. And I don't mean to like complain about it, but it's important for me to like pace myself. So, and I'll keep pushing through with you guys here, but we got to find a better way, so at least I can like get up and walk around for a couple minutes because this is a lot of information and stuff that we're talking about. But okay, so Hunter Brown, um, there's Josh Smith, Seager, Langford are guys that I'd be interested possibly in going up against Brown. Now, what does Brown do for you? No. Uh, Hunter Brown, pitch Arsenal. Oh, I don't want to get away from that. I want to over here. Brown, uh, pitch Arsenal. Hunter Brown. What does he like to throw? 36% four seam, 24% sinker. Um, I was looking at like did the daily fantasy stuff, and I know he's like one of the higher pitchers on today's slate. Hunter Brown, which I mean, sometimes those top pitchers can get knocked, but I don't necessarily love how the Rangers match up against him at this particular moment. He has pitched one game this season at Texas on 5-15, and Houston did lose that game 1-0. Hunter Brown only allowed 3 hits, 8 innings pitched, one earned run, one home run, 9 strikeouts. His average pitch count is 95. This is a good Houston bullpen as well. I don't think the batting average for some of these batters match up as good as I would like them to. Uh, and I'm talking about Texas's offense now. We can go dive into the Texas Rangers, and how they bat against that four seamer, four seam fastball. Doesn't look like these guys are really that good at batting against the four seam fastball, and then the sinker. Um, Josh Smith, Langford, which those guys are kind of on my list here. And Seager. And Seager does have good history against Brown. I would say, yeah, that'd be cool, JB. I just saw your comment in chat. But I guess give me. When we're looking at slugging percentage against that stinker, um, looks like Josh Smith is better than Seager or Langford. And I forgot to look at that with the four seam fastball. Um, Seager and Langford, batting averages there. Seager, Langford, and Josh Smith. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really like any bats today for Texas. If I were to go with one, it'd be like probably the guy with the history here, Seager. But I could also see Josh Smith or Langford doing okay. Probably in that order: Seager, Smith, and Langford. Once again, just because Seager has good history here. Um, Stolen bases per game. I don't see that being a huge factor in this game. Um, Texas and Houston. stolen bases per game. Texas has a very big base stealing advantage in this game, but I don't. I think Houston can do a good job at preventing base runners in this game. Once again, Brown pitched at Texas on 5-15. Houston lost that game 1-0, but this one's back in Houston today. Um, and once again, Evaldi pitched one game versus Houston in Texas, and Texas lost that game 6-3. So both of these starting pitchers have lost against these teams earlier this season. I just see a more advantage with Houston's bats, and I could also possibly see this being a maybe a relatively lower scoring game, but. I don't know. I don't really like talking about overs and that stuff. It's just when we're looking at those trends, though, Texas ranks second in second best to the under on that trend, and Houston is also about average when it comes to the over under. So I'd have to lean towards Houston. I'd have to lean towards the under in that game. Um, I think I'm not going to dive to. I'm not going to do the. There's one other game that we'll look at when it comes to, unless you guys have a specific question. Um, 'Cause I'm going to need to hop off the waves here, just here shortly. But we'll just kind of go over these games real quick, and then I'll dive. I'll look at the pitch type and all that stuff on one more game where I think there could be a home run hitter, and then we'll call it a session, unless you guys have any questions. And once again, the best way to ask your questions is on through Kick or YouTube. All right. So Cantillo, Cleveland and the White Sox. Cleveland pitched, or Cantillo pitched one game versus the White Sox this season. He didn't start that game. Cleveland won that game. Cleveland won that game 6-1. Looks like he has a high walks per nine average. And his pitch count, he does average a 29 pitch count, the pitcher for Cleveland today. But he pitched 84 pitches in 4 innings through his last game. But everything else was low before that. So I could definitely see Cleveland bringing in their 10th ranked bullpen ERA in for some work today. It looks like that I got Robert and Sosa on this list that could see some success against this pitcher for Cleveland today. I guess, well, I'm not going to look it up, but Cantillo, one of his best pitches, is most used pitch, I should say, is the four-seam fastball. Robert ranks third on the White Sox with that, and Sosa third best against the changeup. Pretty sure the changeup is his second most used pitch. Yeah, 40% four-seam is what I'm saying. 35% changeup, and then for Savale. 3 point, he walks guys. He does have a relatively high home run per 9 innings average, and he's worse against right-handed hitters. So, what's his average pitch count? 84. Maybe the White Sox decide to go into this game, their bullpen a little bit in this game. Um, Worse against right-handed hitters. Well, Stephen Kwan and Jose Ramirez are batting off of right-handed pitchers. They're batting a 305 Quan and a 274 Ramirez. But it looks like those guys are both going to be swinging left-handed today. So I don't really think Cleveland matches up too well offensively against the White Sox today. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Savale used to play for Cleveland? And has he pitched against Cleveland this season yet? No. Has he pitched against Cleveland since he has left Cleveland? What happened there? Did he get traded? I'm seeing that he used to play with the Brewers. I thought he played with Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did used to play with Cleveland. So I'm just kind of interested, what happened there. Did he get traded? Does he have some bad blood against Cleveland? Has he pitched against them often? I would, before you think about maybe pulling or picking the White Sox today, maybe look at his history against the White Sox throughout his career. Looks like from 2023. I mean, we can do that real quick. Uh, um, uh, Game log. Let's go see if he's pitched against Cleveland in 2024. Yeah. Whoever team he was on that year, they won 5-3. I think it was Milwaukee. Won 5-3. He only allowed 4 hits, no earned runs. And 2023. His team won um, 9-8. Right after Tampa Bay acquired him. Looks like he played for Tampa Bay. Won 9-8. Allowed 7 hits, 2 earned runs. So maybe he was a little down in the dumps that game, or just had a bad day or something. But it was worth looking into to see if he was like like undefeated since he's left Cleveland. But anyways, once again, I don't necessarily love how Cleveland matches up against him today. If we go to Cleveland Guardians and look at that that cutter. Stephen Kwan ranks second best on the team. Doesn't look like he's too great. I mean, he's okay at hitting that cutter, but just not like extremely outstanding. And then um, that's the third. That's Savale's most thrown pitch is that cutter. So I do like how he matches up against Cleveland's bats today. Now we're talking about stolen bases. Um, Cleveland is, I would give Cleveland a slight advantage when it comes to base stealing in this game. Bullpen ERA, they strike out less. But I'm going to go with, even though Cantillo pitched against the White Sox earlier this year, he didn't pitch nothing but 2 innings, and he didn't start in that game. Thinking it could be a bullpen game here for Cleveland. Um, I would expect Cantillo to pitch 4 innings max today. That's the highest I believe that he's pitched this season, which was his last game that he played in. So, and I'm not saying that Cleveland has a bad bullpen. Once again, they rank 10th, but yeah, give me give me the White Sox here. Moving on. All right. Um, Atlanta and St. Louis. Acuna batting a 358. I'm just going to go over some brief notes here. Acuna's batting a 358 off right-handed pitching. 21% of the starting pitcher for St. Louis's pitches are forcing fastball, and Acuna's good off of it. Atlanta, I think they got a guy who doesn't have a lot of data. He's pitched 1 inning this season. Looks like it's going to be a bullpen game for that sixth ranked best Atlanta bullpen ERA. So even though it is bullpen game, I do like how Atlanta's bats match up against this specific hand that Gray throws with. Um, just don't really know what to expect from Atlanta's pitching today. I think Atlanta could maybe get this win here. When it comes to stolen bases, Atlanta's not that great. Neither of these teams are great in that department. I just once again, I think what it comes down to for me in this one is I like how Atlanta, I like how more of their bats bat against the hand that Gray throws with than how St. Louis's bats match up against Daniel, the starting pitcher for Atlanta. But once again, I don't know what Atlanta's going to bring to the table today, pitching wise. They do have a good bullpen. I think it's going to be a bullpen game for them. Um, there's a lot of unknowns for me in this game, but I'd have to lean towards Atlanta. Looks like the Athletics game. Athletics came out with their lined up. Okay. Um, okay, I'm just gonna try to maybe get through this a little bit quicker here. Arizona and the Los Angeles Angels. I think we'll dive into maybe some pitch types in this game. And then for the Phillies game, Athletics game, Dodgers game, I'll only do that if I feel like it's necessary. I do feel like it is necessary for this Angels and Diamondbacks game. It ranks fifth best in park factors for right-handed home runs. Soriano and Kelly are the pitchers that are projected to play in this game. I don't have in my notes here that either team is specifically bad against a certain bat, so a lefty or a righty. What I do see here is that Soriano has a high walks per 9 inning rate, and Arizona ranks third in team walks drawn per game. I know Arizona was a good base stealing team, I believe, last season. This year they're about average. Angels are about average at stealing or at preventing that. Um, so I do think there's some base stealing potential here today for Arizona, which is a reason why I could see them winning this game. Now, when we look at Soriano's pitch, um, Soriano. 50% sinker, 26% curves. Those are his go-to pitches. 50% sinker, 26% curve. So I'm looking for a right-handed hitter here for Arizona. So Suarez, I think he hit a dinger yesterday. I would say just at the top of my head, that's probably going to be the guy that I'm looking to um, maybe get a home run in this game. Let me go look at Kelly and Soriano's home run per 9 inning rate. I don't think it's extremely high for either of these guys. No. So, dude, Soriano, man, he's only allowed one home run this season. Or, excuse me, yeah. Wait. Two against Cleveland on April 4th, one against Pittsburgh, and only one against Washington. So it looks like four. So this guy is not allowing a lot of home runs. So it's a good ballpark for home runs, right? So maybe this is just a situation where things look good, but you start looking a little bit deeper, and it's not as good as it seems to be. But let's say I am interested to see what Diamondback is good against that sinker, since he relies on it a lot. Once again, 50%, which is a lot. Um, Grichuk, Josh Naylor. Now, Naylor, I did mention that this park is good for right-handed hitters. Naylor's lefty, but looks like he's doing pretty good against that sinker. But Grichuk is doing a little bit better. I think he had a couple home runs yesterday, or if I'm not mistaken, or something. Uh, but maybe those are some guys I'd be looking for. Doesn't look like Grichuk's going to be starting today, though. So maybe like Naylor or something. Um, Once again, what about the curve against the curveball? Soriano's second most used pitched curveball. Marte, and I will say Marte's batting a 312 off of right-handed pitching, so I could see him getting a hit today. I'm just a little hesitant with home runs in this one, just once again because Soriano hasn't thrown a whole lot. But here's what I will say: these guys, both of these teams, could have plenty of opportunity to get a home run maybe in the seventh, eighth, or ninth inning because their bullpens are bad. Both of these bullpen ERAs are near the bottom of the league. Arizona ranks 27th. The Angels rank 28th in bullpen ERA. So it's possible in that aspect. I'm not going to dive into Kelly's pitch type or anything like that. The starting lineups, I don't even believe, are out for this game. So um, just based on the projected starting lineups, I'm gonna have to give Arizona the nod here. And once again, we talked about Arizona, and how how they're good at drawing walks, and Soriano does have a high walk per nine inning rate. And I really like how Arizona can maybe swipe some bags here. I somewhat like how their offense matches up here against the Angels, and I really can't say the same for the Angels. Um, Hold on real quick. See, I think I may have made a typo here. Yeah, that didn't look right to me. Hold on, let me look at something. Batter versus pitcher fan graphs is what I kind of like to use. Um, I need to go back to this real quick and make sure because I was leaning with going with Arizona in this game, but I need to look at something else here. A lefty. Okay. I just don't know how and I want to look at the history here with Kelly if he has any history against the Angels. I just don't see how the Angels are going to have a lot of success against Merrill Kelly. They could have success against that bullpen. Um, Most home runs, team home runs this season. Most team home runs are the Angels just knocking it out of the park. I mean, they do rank fifth. think they're going to have to hit some home runs today. But once again, Kelly has done a good job at uh, somewhat of a good job keeping his home run rate down. Okay, I do want to look at I do want to look at Kelly's pitch arsenal real quick. I do think it's important to look at that in a ballpark that ranks fifth in stat factors for right-handed hitters to hit home runs. 26% four seam, 26% change. So I'm looking for Angels that are good against that four seamer. Trout's up there, Chanul, and Chanul has a good batting average against right-handed pitchers. Slugging wise, Trout's 550, 587. Chanul has a better batting average. And then let's see, what was that other pitch that he'd like to throw the changeup? Trout looks like Trout's pretty dang good against that changeup, and so is Nato. Um, I would probably, I would honestly lean towards, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Zach Nato. Maybe lean towards him getting a home run today. I don't know what he's been doing lately, but I think it's worth a look if you're looking for a home run hitter today. Him and Trout, they do good at the pitches that that Kelly likes to throw. Or let me just double check. I was looking at the right Kelly. Yeah. Just what about the cutter? Maybe that's going to be the deciding factor for me here. Who does good against the cutter? Um, Nito, Nato, Nito. Neto is probably the guy I'd be looking for um, to get a ding dong today. Okay, so we got Phillies and Padres. Sanchez is worse against right-handed hitters. Iglesias has good history against him. Sanchez has pitched one game against San Diego in Philadelphia on July 2nd, and Philadelphia won that game 5-1. 7.0 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 0 home runs, 0 walks, 5 Ks. Pivetta pitched a game against Sanchez at Philadelphia, and actually, it wasn't against. It looks like it was a doubleheader that game. But anyways, Pivetta, the Phillies won that game. It looks like 6-4. Um, but he's worse against right-handed hitters. So both of these pitchers in this Phillies and San Diego game are worse against right-handed pitchers. Good history that we have for the Padres is Iglesias. Good history for Phillies is Realmuto and Harper. Realmuto bats a 316, which leads the Philadelphia Phillies. 316 off right-handed pitching. Bullpen, San Diego bullpen is great. They rank second in bullpen ERA. Average pitch count for both of these pitchers are around 90. I don't see, I don't see like anything that's just making me love one of these teams over the other. Philadelphia has a base stealing advantage. I don't even think the starting lineups are out for this game yet. I said earlier I'd probably be leaning towards the Phillies. Um, Starting lineups are not out yet. No. Uh, turn. Um. Well, I think I guess I think these teams are pretty evenly matched, and I'm not going to go through. I'm not going to go through the pitch types and all that stuff. I think it will. I think it would be helpful though if you wanted to go through this game and do some research. You do got some time before it starts. 3:10 p.m. and just what I'm looking at here, I would just be really because I mean I like how both of these offenses match up against these batters here today. I mean these pitchers here today. I guess I'd have to just give a bigger lean. Just what I'm seeing right now to the Phillies. I think what really just sells my Phillies pick here. Once again, I'm not even gonna dive deep into this one, but um, maybe the deciding factor for me is that Sanchez has beat the Phillies, or the Phillies beat San Diego with Sanchez pitching this season, and Pavetta looks like lost against the Phillies when he pitched his only game this season. I would double check me on that. I feel like I may have messed up on that, but I think it's. Let me just look that up real quick. Pavetta game log, and then what am I looking for? 7-2. Oh, they beat the Phillies. Okay, yeah. So both of these pitchers, I thought that was maybe a typo, but yeah, both of these pitchers won against each other. I mean, I just it's close, man. It's close. I guess give me the better base stealing team. I do think Philly's bullpen could come in and mess things up, but I do expect Sanchez to get about 7 innings pitched in this game as long as everything goes as planned. But maybe the game's going to be so close. Sometimes when I think that it's a blowout, but maybe the game will be so close that maybe it does come down to whose bullpen is better, and the Padres do have the advantage there. Too tough for me to call there. What's I think like there's what 2 games left. Toronto and Athletics guys. Both of the left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters. This park ranks ninth for home runs for both of that. We already talked about VJG. I think he's the my favorite home run hitter today that I've done research with. Um, Toronto has a much better bullpen than the Athletics. We already dove into this game a little bit. I'd have to lean towards Toronto in that game. Then Dodgers and San Francisco. I know these are two popular teams here. Let me see what I have in my notes here. We got Yamamoto versus Robbie Ray. Yamamoto pitched versus San Francisco on 6-13, and the Dodgers lost that game 6-2. Yamamoto kind of got shelled there. 5 earned runs, 4.2 innings pitched, 2 home runs allowed, 5 walks. Yamamoto does have a kind of a high walk rate, high walks per 9 inning average. He is worse against right-handed hitting uh, players. San Francisco's good at drawing walks. I do like how the Dodgers batting average matches up against left-handed pitching more than I like how the Giants bats match up against right-handed pitching, batting average wise. Um, Robbie Ray also has a higher walks per 9 rate than Yamamoto, and the Dodgers are a better team at drawing walks per game. Seeing that Rojas for the Dodgers has good history. Now the bullpen for the Dodgers worries me a little bit. Base stealing, I'd give the Dodgers a slight advantage. I think starting lineups in this game are very important in every game, but also this game. So let me see who's starting. Looks like we got some confirmation on who's starting this game here. Okay. Just based off what I'm seeing here, man, I gotta give the nod to the Dodgers here. And I know Dodgers batters are kind of popular. This is the last game. I know Dodgers batters are kind of popular. So let's just go look real quick at Robbie Ray's pitch arsenal. He likes that four seam and slider. So who on the Dodgers? Four seam fastball. Ohtani batting a 292 off of lefties as well. Slugging percentage 637. Will Smith batting a 333 against left-handed pitching. And he looks like he's pretty good against that four-seamer. And then what was Robbie Ray's other pitch? The slider. Ohtani and Will Smith are the batters that I would kind of look for. I did mention Rojas has some decent history off of Robbie Ray as well. Just like how the Dodgers bats match up a little bit more. Give me the Dodgers in that one. Most confident play today, I don't really know. I would say kind of like Cincinnati. It's tough not to. Liking the Diamondbacks. Liking the Cubs. Liking the Rays. Kind of like the Royals. And I may have mentioned something else that I like throughout the show today. I kind of like the Twins. Most confident, I don't really know. Kind of like the White Sox. Kind of like all these teams, kind of the same here that I'm listing off. So, I guess if I were to have to go with one, I guess give me. I don't know what the line is, but hold on. A lot of these games have probably already started, so or they're getting ready to. So I guess the Rays. I don't know if they were a dog to begin the game or not. Kind of like what they're doing there. How about a game that hasn't started? Looks like these games are just about. What about these afternoon games? I think the White Sox plus 1.5 is cool. Royals look interesting. Yeah, confidence wise, I don't really know, but those are some teams that I like. But hopefully, you guys found this information useful. We got the All-Star break after today. Um, the next show like this will be on Friday, probably about 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern time, somewhere around there. Let me just look at the schedule real quick on Friday to see what time everybody plays. I'm sure it'll be near like probably we got one game that starts at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not going to be covering that game. We got some games starting at 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. So probably about 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, 4:30, probably 4 is when I'll see you guys next. Unless I just decide to like do some sort of a show before then, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Maybe we can just talk about the All-Star game a little bit, the home run derby, and maybe just talk about some old baseball players that you guys used to watch or something. I don't know. Maybe we can find something to talk about during the All-Star break. But yeah, definitely count on starting another show, baseball show, Friday, July 18th at about 4 p.m. or so. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining the Not Move podcast. Good luck today. Thank you so much again. See you guys on Friday.